Hello everyone, this is Akash Chauhan, and in today's lecture we will talk about dynamic memory allocation or the object creation. So before creating a dynamic object or understanding the dynamic memory, let's understand what is the use of dynamic memory. What was the need of creating or having this mechanism of dynamic memory or the object creation? Okay, so let's understand what was the problem of the fixed size array, so that we can reach to a point where we can understand, okay, that was the need of having this mechanism, so that we have created it or we have to use it. So let's understand the issue with the fixed size array. So let's say we have this integer array. This array has 10 elements of integer type, and what is the problem? The problem is during the initialization or the declaration, you have to decide the size of the array. Okay, so the program compilation, before the compilation or building your program, you have to decide how many elements you want to store in this array. That is the actual problem. So the problem is this fixed size. So after array got initialized, the size cannot be changed. So how to resolve this issue? So to resolve this issue, it would be great if we can, fix this size during the execution. Okay, let's say if we have fixed this size and later on we have realized that, okay, I think two more elements we can also store in the array. So in that case, this logic wouldn't work. So there should be a mechanism which can help us to allocate memory dynamically or according to the need. So according to the need, we can understand during the program execution or your runtime of your program, we would know the exact memory your array would require. So it would be great if we can, if your compiler or your CPU can assign that memory, that much memory to the array, not the fixed size. Okay, again there is another problem. If you assign 10 and you only use first element of this array a0 and rest just the empty array, okay, then this is also a problem that you have not utilized it. If it is the fixed size, then there are such kind of issues. Okay, if it is a dynamic type, and if we can assign the memory at runtime, it would be great. So we know the solution. The solution is if we can assign dynamic memory allocation at the runtime. So how much memory is actually needed would be more precise at the runtime of the program, not at the compile time. Okay, so we are clear with this concept. So but again there is another question: how to assign dynamic memory to a variable or an array? That is also a question. So to understand that, we have two concepts: the stack and the heap. You must have some understanding of stack and heap, but in C++, we don't need to go into that much detail of what is stack and what is heap. You would know during your data structure subject, you would know more about these data structures, the stack and the heap. But we should know how or why we use stack and heap. That is our concern in this lecture. Okay, so stack is LIFO. LIFO is last in first out. It means whatever element would be inserted at the end, you have to take that element out first of all. Rest you can take out one by one, but the last one will come out first. So last in first out is the standard annotation for this stack. The heap is not like LIFO or FIFO. It is altogether different concept. It's a max and min. So the maximum among all element would be at the top, or the minimum among all the elements would be at the top. There are two ways to make a heap. We don't need to go into the detail what is the structure of stack and heap. You would know during your data structure course. This is not actually the focus point. Our focus point is why we use stack and why we use heap. Okay, so whatever data we store in stack, it is actually provided at compile time, like functions like main function, variables, whatever you write, they will be stored in the stack. Okay, but the heap memory would be provided at runtime or during the program execution. So how to allocate stack memory? Simply, whenever like you decide it's an integer, it means it would take 4 bytes. Okay, integer of 10 element, array of 10 elements of integer type. It means it would uh, the 40 bytes would be allocated at stack. Why? Because one element is of 4 byte and 10 elements are of 40 bytes. Delete, how to delete? You don't need to do anything specifically. Whenever your program execution would come to the end, your stack would be erased, your stack would be deleted. Okay, it happens automatically, so you don't need to do much, but you just know about the concept that whenever your program reaches to the close parenthesis or at the end of your function, the data for that function would get deleted. Okay, in case of heap, how to assign data or store data on heap? You have to use new keyword. We will look at how to use it in the code, but you must know you have to use new keyword. To delete, you have this command delete, and then whatever the memory you want to delete. So these are two important commands that you must remember regarding the heap allocation or the dynamic allocation. And I think this is quite common that you can understand why we are saying it's a dynamic, because we are assigning this memory at the runtime. We are not deciding the memory at the compile time. So what kind of data the stack will be storing? The actual function data, local data, non-static data, or temporary data. But in heap, the static data. Okay, as I said earlier, that the class member, static is a class member, and they have only one copy, and that copy resides in heap. So static data would store in heap. Permanent data and whatever data you would create using new keyword would store in the heap until unless you delete it using the delete command, it would be there. Okay. So let me take an simple example so that we can understand what what kind of data would store at stack and what will store at heap. So for example, this is the simple main function in which I have a and b two variables. A is 1 and b is 2, and again we have array of 10, and we have not defined this, just the declaration is there, and I'm printing a and it would print 1. But how we this data a and b, because it's a function call. Okay, it's a function, so this is a local data for this function. So this all these statements or the data would store at the stack. Okay, because it's a function. Okay, there is nothing here that would store at the heap. So how to store data at heap? There is a way. So it is same as like this a and b, and a is 1. This is not the heap data, but if we use new keyword like this, it is integer, and array is a integer type pointer. Okay, and we use new. This is actually the way to create a dynamic memory. So what will happen? Okay, let's understand, this is very important concept, that new keyword, this new keyword would create memory at heap. Okay, let's say it would create some memory at heap by using new keyword, but we don't know how much. Okay, that is very important, that how much memory we would allocate is dependent at the runtime. But this is not an array, this is simply a integer. We already know the size of this 4 bytes. So even if it is a dynamic array, okay, sorry, it's even if this is a dynamic data and will store at heap, but still it would take only 4 bytes, and it might have stored, let's say, the address of 102347. So it is stored at this address. This address would be stored in this, because this is a integer type pointer. Okay, so we have discussed about this. If this is the array, so array would store address of something. Okay, and this is the actual address, so this would store into this, and to get the value at this address, what I need to do, asterisk arr, it will print the value. Okay, so this is the way to assign. So this is also assigning, let's say this is assigning 4 bytes. Okay, but if it is an array, okay, and this is simply just the integer. Okay, if I want to assign a array, okay, then what I need to do, I need to 10. So instead of 10, what if I already said this is a 10? So the only difference would be it would store at stack and it would store at heap. That would be the only difference. But I want to use the heap mechanism, that I don't want to give this size at this point of time. I want to decide it later. So what I'll do, instead of 10, I give a variable as a parameter, and I will decide length later on. That is the magic of using heap. Just storing data at heap is not enough. To use the property of heap is the main motive of using dynamic memory allocation, so that we can decide the size later on. First of all, let's just declare and define your uh, array like this, 10 elements of integer type, but this is a dynamic array because we are using new. So what it will do, it will create void type of. So what it would do, it will create a dynamic array at the heap, but only when the length would be given. Okay, so this is the basics about dynamic array. So which line would store where? Only this line, this array would store at heap, and rest would be at stack. So this would go to stack, this would go to stack, and these a and b here and here also, they all go to stack. And this this array would also store at stack. Only this ar, okay, and ar also not stored, going to store at heap. It is just pointing to the address, like what we have discussed here. The array would point to this address. Okay, even if you have 10 elements, it is just saying that the contiguous 10 elements would store at the heap. Okay, and the array would point to the base address of that array, or the very first element of the array. Okay, it is just that. And new is the keyword to ensure this would store at the heap, not at the stack. Okay, so this is the way we can know which statement would go where. So this is what we have discussed theoretically. Let's discuss the same thing practically. I have written a program, so let me run that program for you. So okay, so I have not created any class, it is simply main function. So in that I have created a simple variable, number of items. So in first two lines, what I'm taking an input from the user. It is just saying the number of items. Okay, the number of items are what? Okay, and then I use the same concept of dynamic allocating the dynamic memory. So in our example we have taken it as a length. Here I'm using number of items, and the value, the value of number of items would be entered by the user. Okay, so it will not create the size for this array at the compile time. Instead, whenever the program would get executed. Okay, so in this for loop, what I'm doing, it would start from 0 till the number of elements. Let's say we have taken only 2 elements. So this loop would run for 0 and 1. So it means 2 times. So what it is saying, it is saying if item is a pointer, it is saying if you have stored 2 elements over the heap, an item would be pointing, the item 0 or item would be pointing to the base element or the first element. Then if I add 0 over here, it would be again the base address, right, or the first element address. So it is saying that what is the first element. Okay, that is what it means, because we are using asterisk. So what is the first element? Okay, so this would go for two iterations, 0 and 1. So it would go 0 and again 1. So it scene is taking the input from the user and would store that data into the item. So it is asterisk, it is saying go to this address, and the value of that address, value at that address would be the value entered by the user. So what it would do, this loop would populate your heap. Population means it would assign the value for those items at the heap. We have two items, right? So inside that item, as they are integer type, so the value would be entered by the user over here using the C. So this is the display item. It means how many items we have, how many items, the number of items. The loop would run for number of items, so it would run only two times in this case. So what I'm doing, I'm using 0 over here, and for the second iteration it would use 1. So it is saying use the first address and take the content of that and print it. Okay, for the second iteration it is saying take the second address, take the content at the second address and print it. Okay, and at the end what I'm doing, this, because we are done with the C in and C out, I know the number of items. So deleting item, so I don't need to write asterisk. Okay, asterisk will give the value, so we can't delete the values, but we can delete the address itself. So item is actually the pointer, so we can delete the pointer. So this is how to allocate memory at the heap and how to release that memory by using the delete operation. So let me run it. Okay, and let's see how it would function. Let's wait for the console. Okay, so it is saying enter the number of items in the group. I'll say, let's say I have two items. Items I need to give, this is first item, this is second item, and it is displaying in heap you have 1 and 3. Okay, and your data at the heap would also be deleted, because at the end we are using delete item and returning the 0 to the main function. Okay guys, so this is about your dynamic memory allocation and how to allocate the memory, and the second thing, how to release that memory. The next part is dynamic object. Okay, so how to create dynamic object. So in this case you pay little focus on that. This is a primary data type. So if I simply replace it with a class, then this would be a dynamic object. Why? Because whatever size your object or the class would take, okay, let's say whatever size your class or object would take, let's say 4 bytes, but we don't want to assign that memory at compile time. So what I'll do, I'll make it a heap data. So how to create it a heap data or dynamic data? By using the new keyword. So instead of integer, it would be great if I can simply write, okay, if I can simply write over here the class name. So it would be, I can consider it as a dynamic object. So let me open the code. I have written a code for the dynamic object creation so that we can understand that concept. And along with that, we also look at the pointers to objects. So if we can, understand the how the pointers are related to the object, so it would be great. Okay. So let me open the code. Here it is. So I have created a test class, and my objective is to create a dynamic object. So in this class, this is the constructor. It is using the class name. It is public, no argument, no return type. And if this constructor would be called, then this message would display at the console. Okay. This test class also has this void display member function. Okay. Let's discuss the main function. So in main function, this is the test class we have just created. I'm creating the object of this class. Okay, and I'm using the same annotation I have used for the integer array. Okay, earlier I have used two item integer array, right? Number of items. So instead of this, I'm using two. Okay, I can take this from the user as well, like we have used earlier, but my objective is to how to create a dynamic object. Okay, my concern in this code is not to give the size at the runtime. We can do this by taking the input from the user and put the size over here. Okay, like this we can do cin. Okay, and we can give the size. Okay, and we can pass this size to over here, but my objective is not uh, to concern about, my objective is not uh, so here my objective is to know how to create the dynamic object. So instead of integer, I have written the test, the class name. It means the test 0. Okay, if it's the array, then it would be test 0 and test 1. So they are both pointing to the same class object, not the same objects. They share the same class, but the object would be different. The objects are different. So the test 0 would store the address of the first object. Okay, you please listen to my words. Test 0 would be storing or pointing to the first object of this class. Okay, or test 1 would be pointing to the second object of this class. Okay, let's focus on this loop. It is saying it would run for two times, 0 and 1. Okay, why? Because we have only two size array for this object type. Okay, and we are printing I in the object. So the for the first, if it's a 0, it would say it's a 0 object. So instead of 0, let's say I'll make it 1. So it would say this is the first object, and to display the function. So whenever you, okay, the very important point you must know, if it is 2, if I have already decided it's a 2, then it would create two test objects. So if it would create two test objects, and we know if during the object creation the constructor would be called, so this function definitely would get called, right? So after this line, after the execution of this line, this constructor would be called two times for each object, because two objects are created because of this line. Okay, this would run for two iterations. And what I'm doing over here, pay little attention to that. Initially it is 0, so it is saying go to this address. Let's say the address is 12345 6 plus 0 would also be 12345 6. So it would say go to the first object, go to the first object and run or invoke the display function. So it would invoke the first object display function. For the second iteration, it would say it is the second object, and it would run test 12345 6 plus 1. So it is saying it is increasing the, if I add 1 in the address, it is not literally it would increase by 1. It is saying whatever data you are having, go to the next data of that. So the next it would say the next object is, so t is 1 would be the next object. Okay, so take the content of that. Okay, because it is a pointer. So if I take the asterisk of that, it means it would give me the value, and at that value the object would be there, right? So it would call display function for the second object. So if I run this code, what will happen is this test constructor would run for two times, and this display function would also run two times, but in sequence. Okay, after this line it would get called one time, and again this line, and it would get called one more time. So let me run this code to know the output. So guys, this happens by because we have created two test class objects. First objects and the second object, it is the display function, and it is running in a sequence. So guys, this is actually about how to create dynamic object. And there is another concept we have covered in this lecture, pointer to object. So if it is an object and it is a pointer, what it means? It means it is the pointer that is pointing to the object. Okay, if more precisely, if I want to talk more about that, then it is saying that if your memory is storing, let's say, test, this is your object 1, test 0, and this is also the test object, this would be test 1. But the important point is this test 0 and this test 1 is of pointer type. Okay, this test 0 is a pointer type. It means it would be storing address. An address of what? Address of where your objects are stored. So to know the content, to get this object, what I'll do, I'll simply use asterisk of test 0. That is what I'm doing, right? That is what I'm doing. And if I want to do that, then what I do, test 1. Okay, so instead of that, what I have written, test plus 0, and to know this, I have written test plus 1. It would be pointing to the next element. Okay, this is the literal meaning of go to the next pointer. Okay, and get the content. So content is the object. Okay, and if I know the content like this test 0, then I can call whatever is inside or access the member like display function I'm calling. So this is how we can understand how to use, or how to access your class members or the object members or the instance members. So guys, this is about the pointer to objects or pointer of objects. Okay, the next topic we should cover in this lecture is the this pointer. So for that I have written a program. Let me come to that program. Okay, so here is that program, but before running this program, let's these are the point I have written about the this pointer. Okay, so the very first pointer, let me read it out. Every object in C++ has its own address through an important pointer called this pointer. So this pointer is actually to access its own elements or own data members or the functions. So this is very well explained in the second point. This pointer is an implicit parameter. Okay, this pointer is an implicit parameter all member function. Okay, this pointer points to the current object. That is very important, but I think we have not understood so far what it means of accessing, what is the point of accessing our own element. Okay, so to understand that, let's understand this code. So we have test class, and in that we have two public variables a and b. Test is the constructor and it is taking a and b. Okay, so let's understand. If I don't write this, so how the compiler would know which a you are referring? So if I'm a programmer, I know I'm referring a to here and b to here, is this a to here and b to here. But how the compiler would know? So the compiler would know by using this operator. So if I use this, and this operator is actually what? This is, let me tell you. So let's say if our test object stores at heap. Okay, let's say we have stored, there would be some address of that 1 4 5 6. This is the address. Okay, so if this pointer, so this pointers, if this is this, so if this pointer can point to the object stored at the heap, it means this pointer would be equal to the base address. So this is actually the this pointer. because if I know this, I can simply use asterisk operator over this and can get this object, right? So this operator is like a simple pointer where we can store the address of something or the object. Okay, that is the point. So this operator, if I use asterisk with this, it means it would give me the access of this object. That is what I was doing here with this. Okay, I'm using the content of this pointer, then it would be the object itself. Okay, so this is the way to distinguish which a you are referring to. So this a is the object a, and this v would be the object b. Okay, because this is the base pointer and I'm using asterisk, it means I'm using the object itself. It has a function which is returning a plus b. Okay, so if I can call this constructor by some values, it would assign to the a and b for that object. And if I can simply call this method using that object, it would return me the sum of these values. So sum is the, I'm storing the return data coming from here, and I'm calling, creating the object over here and passing 1 and 2. So the output would be 3. Okay. I hope you understood this example. Let me run this code and let's see if so 3, we are getting 3. So this is about this pointer. Let me let me summarize about this pointer. This pointer is nothing but the pointer which is pointing to the base address of the of your object, of your current object. So the this pointer would be pointing to the base address. It means it is storing the base address. So if it is an address type, okay, and if I want to get the content inside the address, then what I use, asterisk operator. That is what we have used, so no need to confuse. Okay, so guys, this is about today's lecture. We have in this lecture we have covered about how to create a dynamic array, dynamic, how to allocate dynamic memory, how to create dynamic object. Okay, we have also understood the concept of this pointer. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for today's lecture.